Folks, welcome back to College Call of Duty. It's been 2 long weeks, but we are back. A little bit of a spring break action, a little bit of a gap in the timeline between matches, but we are now into it with the continuation of Stage 2. My name is Seymour. Alongside me is Cruisin. We have had a lot of Call of Duty to watch over in the past 2 weeks. Jesse, I mean, Major 2? Challengers? It has been a wild ride in the past couple days.
Yeah, it really has been a wild last 2 weeks. I know it's been spring break, but a lot of teams in CCL, they've been catching up on a lot of their matches. So most teams now are completely up to date in terms of matches played. Everybody should be right around the same as everybody else now that we've gone through all the universities' spring breaks. And then, like you said, we had challengers to go over in the last week. And then also the major that happened yesterday, a huge upset victory there for the LAG yesterday. So, I mean, it was a wild weekend. And, I mean, I'm just so excited to get back on the desk and to be casting more CCL here tonight.
It's like day to day, you're sitting there and you're watching this run, you're just like, is this gonna happen?
Yeah.
You know, Friday you're just like, oh, they're doing good. Saturday you're like, no way, they could do this. And then Sunday like, oh my god, they're doing it. And then, I mean, history was pretty much made. I don't think I've ever seen a better loser bracket run than what we saw yesterday. And I don't know if we'll ever get to see it for a very long time. So, I mean, that was quite the ride. But like you said, I mean, challengers, Major 2, it's been great, but it's time to talk about CCL again. It's time to dive right back into Stage 2. We got LCQ coming up in a couple weeks, Jesse, and a lot of these teams that we're going to be watching over the next couple days, or the next couple weeks, they're going to be fighting for a chance to be in those plans, for a chance to be in the playoffs, for seeding, everything that they want to gain going into the next stage.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, if you're kind of coming in fresh right now to CCL and you're trying to figure out what's going on right now, well, we're in week 10 of the season. We're now officially into Stage 2, kind of the middle half of Stage 2, actually. And so most of your Tier 1 teams are going to be competing at the moment for trying to get inside of the top 8, trying to make that guaranteed playoff spot. Well, our match today, we're going to be heading into Tier 2 for our first matchup. And these teams, they're playing for top 4 right now. You want to be able to get in the top 4 because that gives you top seeding going in against the bottom seeds going into our last chance qualifiers.
It'll be a great one. I'm excited to see what all these teams have. I mean, this is the stage, Jesse, in CCL or in Call of Duty that you're going to be seeing teams pour their heart and soul into the gameplay, which I'm most excited to see what like teams can achieve when they're really backed into a corner. But we're going to have to wait to see those teams when we do get them on stage. It is going to be the Midwest Tier 2 set that we're going to be looking at to start off this series. We got Bowling Green Falcons versus Purdue Northwest. And when we're looking at them inside of the Midwest Tier 2, Jesse, and you're sitting 2 and 3 inside those standings, these teams are neck and neck.
Yeah, so Bowling Green coming in and sitting in second place, like you said, 6-1 in the Tier 2 standings, 12-4 overall on their season record. And then Purdue Northwest, they're actually the team coming in sitting in third in the standings at the moment for Tier 2 at 5-2, again 12-4 overall. But when you're looking overall at in total hard points, search and destroys, and controls right now, you can see there's some very, very big differences between these two teams. I mean, you know what, hardpoint, it's pretty similar between the two. Might give the small edge to Purdue Northwest, although they have played more maps. Then when you look down at the search and destroys, it's a pretty big advantage, in my opinion, going towards the way of Bowling Green, just from what I've seen from Purdue Northwest. But then the controls, once again, I mean, they are so similar when it comes down. Both teams, you can see right there, 7, 8, and 3 coming into control.
I mean, it's going to be grueling when we do get down to those searches because we say it countless times over different leagues, search and destroy wins champions. You're going to be watching out for that mode for sure between both of these teams, Jesse. But let's introduce these teams because we got our home team for the night, Bowling Green Falcons, coming in. Representing the roster will be Solar, Hayes, Apollo, and Evade.
Yeah, and when you're looking at this roster, it's really been Evade who has been the pop-off player for this Bowling Green roster. When they're playing very well, he is that guy who you are looking at to be that top player for this roster. And honestly, both teams, they've gotten a loss to Mississippi State this stage. That's probably the top team right now inside of the Midwest Tier 2. And in that loss, it was really Hayes that kind of struggled for BGSU. So look for him to try to pick it up here today in this matchup against Purdue Northwest.
Well, hopefully that can kind of elevate them to the next level now to take on Purdue Northwest. And speaking of Purdue Northwest, the away team for the night, your number 3 team in the Midwest Tier 2, sitting 5-2. You got H2O, Whitman, Echo, and coming into this roster, we're looking at Old Meme.
Yeah, and this is another interesting one, right? Because we said coming into this one, both teams now have taken that loss to Mississippi State. Well, Purdue Northwest, they decided, hey, you know what? We lost to Mississippi State. It wasn't the closest loss. Both teams actually got 3-0'd by Mississippi State. But PNW decided after the loss, hey, you know what? It's time to make a change. We need to do something to kind of elevate our gameplay here. Hoyt's out of the roster. Now you bring Old Meme in. And you know what? He's only had 2 matches so far inside of stage 2 that he's been able to compete in so far. So we'll see how he can come out today. But this team, they need to get on to another level with each other as quickly as possible coming into this one, going up against a team like Bowling Green.
Definitely going to be keeping my eyes on him for the match, Jesse. But let's set the mood. Let's set the tone for the series and take a look at our map set for the night, or for this match as well. We got Berlin, and then a double dose of Gavatu. And we head to Desert Siege if this does go to a map 5. This is an interesting map set, you know, something that I wasn't expecting to open up the night, but, you know, I'm here for it.
I am absolutely here for it. I mean, look at this map set. It's so weird to see a map set come through and not see any Tuscan, especially not seeing any Tuscan, but also not seeing Bacage. I mean, it's a little bit weird, but I'm absolutely here for it. I love Berlin, love Gavutu. I think it's going to be a good time. And like I've been saying, Desert Siege is low-key been making a way into my heart. It's been sneaking up there. And it's a fun map. It's a fun map to watch. We might get some snipers coming out if we go that full Game 5. And honestly, looking at these two teams, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we end up seeing a Game 5 between these two because of how kind of split these two teams are between each other. They look very, very similar. And also both these teams, a lot of their wins, it's either been 3-1s or 3-2 victories for both these rosters. So get ready. We very well could be in for a 5-game ruler to start off CCL this week.
You know what? It's funny because we were talking about LAG and their run throughout Major 2, and you know, a big part of that run was the Volk. You know, shout out Fishity, you know, really kind of changing up things, and it's making its way now into the CDL. And I was expecting to see that maybe going into our first match of the day, Jesse, seeing some teams maybe adapt to a 3-gun meta before it gets GA'd. But looking at the map set, the fact that we have Berlin's, Gavatus, and a Desert Siege, I don't think we're going to be able to see this Volk make it into the make its way into the series for today. But I'm excited to see it because aside from that third gun, you know, sticking to the Automaton and the MP40, when you look at this series and kind of the way it's spread out, the fact that the maps are quite large, I'm expecting heavy games from the AR presence.
Yeah, so kind of going back to your first point with talking about like the fact that you're not thinking that you're going to see the Volk very much. I think Berlin, there's an opportunity to see the Volk come out, but I'm right there with you on the last 2 maps. I don't think that we'll see it coming through on Gavutu very often. I think that's more of a map where you're going to see the Automaton come out. It's more of one of those long range maps. But Berlin, I definitely think there's some opportunities, especially inside of the Berlin hard point, to be able to see it in this first map for ourselves here. But yeah, I'm right there with you for Gavutu and Desert Siege. Those are some very long range maps that I don't expect to see it. And it's kind of funny because the maps that you would expect to see it on most in that Tuscan and in that Bacage is the 2 maps that unfortunately we're not going to see at all here today.
Well, Jesse, I mean, this is going to be a big test to your flex role for both of these teams over the course of this best of 5. And I'm excited to see when that does happen, you know. Maybe we'll see Volks. Maybe we won't, most likely in the back half like we're talking about. But, I mean, Berlin Hardpoint, I'm always excited to see this, folks. It's time for College COD to come back. We got map 1 between Bowling Green State University Falcons and Purdue Northwest Pride.
Yeah, and you can already see right off the rip, both teams just putting a ton of focus on trying to get as much positioning as they can inside of this first hill. Fights are going to go down back and forth. But honestly, so far, just a very patient PNW right off the rip. They were able to find a few kills and look at the flank as well. Whitman coming in from behind is going to really disrupt any setup that BGSU was trying to build. And this should be some early time now going to the way of PNW.
Well, it's going to be big, especially if Whitman comes out with those kills for the rotation over to P2, Jesse. I mean, you can see that Pride in control of this time, soaking up as much as they can into this P1, but a lot of the line is going to be when that rotation comes out because this mailroom, I mean, it's been a lot. We saw it over the course of Major 2. This mailroom has been deadly.
Yeah, it's definitely deadly. And this is one of those rooms where if you set up for it right, you can hold on to a lot of time, but it's so tough to be able to get a good hold here. Now, teams are starting to figure out how to break it more and more. Spawns out are becoming more and more popular for being able to kind of figure out your way through and how to get inside of a lot of these hills. But you can see BGSU, they're going to be the first team here, first team set up. And PNW spawned it up on the left-hand side. It's exactly where BGSU wants them because they can expect these spawns. They know where they need to be pushing out to pick a lot of these players off spawn. And you can already see it's alluding to quite a bit of time here for BGSU.
The Falcons are set up. They're looking for the break, but the break's going to be a tough one because look at these Falcons. They are in their power positions. Hayes is going to be here for the last little bit of a 1v1 through the wall. Not going to spot Echo. And coming out from the top ropes, you get a little bit of help for the break from the Pride. Still 24 seconds left. You can see that the Falcons spawning up on the right hand of the minimap, Jesse. Now they need to break this hill and start looking at P3.
With only 16 seconds left, and you can see that's the full focus now for PNW. They say, hey, you know what? We are at least able to keep this contested a little bit scrappy for a small bit of time here, but we need to get our full focus. We need to get our full rotation over towards this P3 hill because this can absolutely lock down and be a money hill here on this map, and it's exactly what you're seeing from PNW. This is the hill that they want to try to bring themselves right back into this one. Spawns will still be in their favor. The first hit comes through. It's very unsuccessful for the likes of BGSU, and now they're spawning up towards that bottom, towards that P1 hill, and now everybody's going to have to make their way in towards the middle of the map.
Well, they brought themselves back, Jesse, only 6 points down. Hayes on the side trying to spell trouble for the setup for Pride. Is going to get in for the break for the moment, but you can see 3 down in the feed. H2 on Whitman turning up, and look at these spawns. Falcons pull the spawns out from behind of the Pride. They're going to be able to reinforce this one, but you have to be careful with 30 seconds left. You want to make sure you're not getting trapped back here.
It's actually the perfect time for PNW to get a flip like that. As long as you can keep things scrappy and contested, yeah, you might lose these back 20 seconds now, but you were, 30 seconds for a free time practically before BGSU was able to contest. And then you basically only give up that back 20, and now you get the full rotation over towards the new hill. It works out perfectly for this roster. Apollo, like you called out, the only player who's going to be anywhere near this hill. He's going to try to challenge the back, not going to be successful. And this should be a good-looking hold here for PNW. They've got all the setups that they want, and now BGSU, they're going to have to try to find a way to break this from the front.
Should be a good hold. You would have hoped Apollo maybe waited a few seconds. Patience could have paid off here, but now you have to go toe-to-toe with the AR. It's already set up. It's good for 2. The Falcons, it's hard, but it's doable for sure. As you can see, the kills going their way. Now forcing PNW off this hill. You see Apollo trying to soak up some time for the front line, but you still have the respawns to take care of. If you're looking at Pride to hold off here, as the respawns are going to come off the board, get right back into this hill. Echo laying down prone. Can he withstand the hold about to come, or the break about to come? Well, not for too long. It's going to be up to the teammates now to look to hold off this wave of Falcons players pushing through train station. Because the train yard, it has been mixy, and it's a big thing right now that the Falcons haven't given up too much time.
Yeah, and that's really big because you had a good amount of spawn there for PNW. It looked like you could gain a good amount of time there. Only ended up getting around 10-15 seconds on that hill in total because BGSU kept that so scrappy like you said. So that's a job well done there for BGSU just to keep things so close. Big focus for them now here onto this hill because this is another one of those hills where it's going to stay very, very scrappy. It's holding on to those left-hand spawns, trying to make sure you keep the spawns for that P1 hill once we go back to offices. And you can see they're doing a good job of that here so far, but a few kills don't go their way. I was a little bit worried with where those arrows were positioned. I thought they were going to spawn up on the right-hand side, but they will continue to hold onto upper courtyard spawns for now.
Well, Purdue looking to push their lead to triple digits before this set goes into number 2. You can look at the sides that both teams are spawning out here. Nobody really in a good, comfortable position to step onto this hard point uncontested. You can see kills ringing through from back and forth from either side. 3 go down, though, for the Pride, and the Falcons are going to hop in now to look to nullify this lead that the Pride have accumulated over the first set. And you even look at this minimap, Jesse. You look at the Falcons are already set up for this P1 for set number 2, and they bring themselves back to a 4-point deficit.
It's exactly where they want to be. Completely set up here for this first hill of the second set of rotations. And now, Colin, I wouldn't be a color caster if I didn't bring this one up, but Hayes, I said coming into this one, he had a slow start in that match against Mississippi State. It wasn't the best match for themselves when both teams found that loss to that roster, and it was Hayes who was really struggling. He's kind of struggling again here at 9 and 12. He needs to pick it up in the back half of this. You're still winning this game right now if you're BGSU, but you got to think that if he was a little bit higher up with those stats, I believe he started 0-6, it would have been a little bit better of a lead at the end of that first set of rotations.
Big thing coming out from the supporting 3. Look at Solar here on a flank on screen. Is able to find Whitman now, looking to spell trouble for the rest of them on the break. Takes down Echo. That's 2 down. Looking for a third, maybe on the inside. Old Meme's going to be there. Not for long, but it is the teammate to shut down Solar on the inside. 4 time here from the Pride as they're looking to pick up the scrap. 12 seconds while Falcons set up for 2.
Big thing though, Solar does get shut down, but he finds the streaks. He has that glide bomb for the later portions of that game, and that could be absolutely massive towards trying to zone out PNW, towards trying to find some rotations in the later portions of that game. You see that glide bomb get used quite a bit for trying to break that P3 hill to try to find that player in the back of Crane. So look for it to possibly be used towards the later half of this game here, and that could be the advantage that BGSU needs to kind of make that gap a little bit bigger here in the game. But PNW, they're going to be the first team here inside of this hill, gaining a good amount of time.
A little bit of a blunder there for the Pride. Get set up first, but an easy break for the Falcons. You can see a pinch setting up here from the top ropes. You can see Old Meme going to hop in, dethrone Evade from holding on to that time. They spawn out Falcons over towards that P1 setup. Have to cross through Courtyard just to touch this hill. Apollo and Solar, they find two. Hayes a third. So far, so good on the Falcons. Going to force Old Meme out of this hill. Look to play this from the outside. Hops back in for the contention. Takes down Evade. Rips out Hayes. No. Oh, I thought he's going to have that kill. Hayes swaps to his secondary. Will be able to trade that one out. Keeping it very close, Jesse. 139 to 145 and counting heading into this third hill.
Heads up play by Solar to just sit back, stay towards this backfire building, and what that does is it pulls all the spawns for BGSU off the start of this hill for themselves over to this new hill, and they're going to be the first team here, first team set up, trying to gain a couple of points, and it looks like the lead, it's going to get swung right back into their favor here. And I mean, what is this calling? Our 6th, 7th lead change of this game so far. It's been a very tight one, very scrap heavy, contest heavy all the way through, and PNW actually are going to break these spawns on the backhand side, and now they can try to break into this hill with 30 seconds left.
32. I mean, yes, this is going to be very valuable that they get the break from the back, but they still need to take these players out of the hill, Jesse. And Falcons are doing a great job at holding this from the front line. You can see Echo trying to play their life on the inside. Has a little help from Whitman. So still alive for this time. You can see Old Meme looking to pinch out this last remaining player, Solar. And he snaps to Apollo as well. Holy. Old Meme starting to heat up 22 and 20, Jesse.
Yeah, the new kid on the block. Absolutely starting to heat up a little bit there. Finds that 2 streak. That takes away the scrap time completely from BGSU, but it still works out in BGSU's favor. Everybody spawns up on the right-hand side. Everybody just runs over towards train yard, and they get the exact spawns they want. And look at this. Even with the 2 players on PNW pushed so far up inside of Warehouse, the rest of the players on PNW, they still spawn up across the map, so actually a big pinch potential now starting to develop here for PNW.
And just there. And they break the hill from the front. Hayes the only one in the back, Jesse. And he's not able to stay alive. H2O takes him down. And they've completely flipped this one out. Now the Falcons are going to have to traverse through Berlin just to get back to this train yard. Well, the Pride are setting up in the power positions, but they're not able to do so in time. You can see relatively easy come the kills of the Falcons to take out Pride from soaking up this time. Apollo gets in the back. Will take Echo out of this hill. You see the trade still ringing through, Jesse, back and forth as the Falcons maintaining their lead inside this hill number 4, even though it was broken from the Pride.
It's really just Solar right now. That is the main simple fact as to why you're having this big lead here for BGSU. I mean, 30 and 17 through 9 hills. Very impressive start to the game by himself here. Even Evade, who's normally a very top standout performer here for this BGSU roster, going very negative right now at 17 and 25. You're not really getting a well-rounded effort out of the roster. You're really not even leading in a lot of slaying except for Solar. So it's kind of surprising to see PNW still not leading this game up to this point in time. We could end up seeing another lead change here, but you have seen a player now sneak through in Evade, which will end up giving us an opportunity for a pinch here once again onto hill number 5. But it is just absolutely neck and neck still here between these two teams.
Apollo finds 2 to break on in. Falcons soaking up the time. They accumulate 200 points, Jesse, so now they're looking at the home stretch to put away map number 1. As Evade looking to work the back. See if he can pull these spawns away from Pride. A little bit awkward. Old Meme's going to take him out. So no flip just yet in the spawn category. PNW will be able to set up early for this P1 for set number 3. And this is definitely where you need to see things turn around for PNW because they are there in the slaying category, Jesse. They're just not converting it into time all the time.
This is a big opportunity for them to get a big chunk of a lead here over BGSU. If you can keep them spawning out, Solar's going to check the left corner, though, at the perfect time. And you can see it's a perfect break from BGSU. Solar hits from the upper courtyard. The rest of the players hit from the bottom of the train station. And it is just a perfect break-in. It was looking so good for PNW. But now with only needing 20 seconds left to get the win, PNW needs a break, and they need a break right now.
They need to go. Somebody needs to get into this hill. 12 seconds left for the Falcons to find Berlin. You can see the kills ringing out. It's all orange to the feed. One player's here. It's player number 8, Whitman. Looking to walk in through the side door. Shot down, though, as soon as he enters. And nobody's in a position to touch this. The Falcons are going to find Berlin, and they're going to go up 1-0 in this series, Jesse. Very commanding out of your AR Solar.
Yeah, absolutely. Solar putting on a show for the BGSU Falcons coming into this one. A 250 to 195 win. And we just need to see the stats pop up at the very end so I can get the full read on exactly how Solar finished with 34 and 21. I believe he was 31 and 15 at one point throughout that game, was playing very, very positive for this Bowling Green State University roster. And not only was he playing very positive, but he also found those streaks through the second set of rotations. He didn't end up using the streaks. I don't think I ever saw the glide bomb end up coming through. I don't know if you did, maybe just saving it for a rainy day if they needed it towards the back half of that game. But yeah, don't need it when you get perfect breaks the way that Solar was able to break with the rest of the BGSU players in that final set of rotations. It was still, what, a 10-point game right up until the very end there, but BGSU was able to get the break in from both sides, upper courtyard and bottom train yard, and just make the perfect break inside of office, find all the kills, and PNW just never had an answer back to be able to break back into that one. And it is just a very, very clean first game there out of BGSU. And if you're PNW, you are shaking in your boots now when you're looking at Search and Destroy going up against this team.
You are quaking. It felt like the Pride were just constantly chasing shadows, Jesse, the whole time through. I mean, oftentimes we would see Falcons first one there to the setup and maintaining a good setup the whole way through, making sure that they're walking out on top when it does get scrappy. SMG players were turning up for those factors, but I mean, oftentimes the rotations going the way of the Falcons, they were clean, cut, and concise. And I mean, PNW, like you said, they just couldn't hold on, oftentimes just getting broken so early. You can see it just was not the recipe to success for this squad. And as we move through the series, if this does go back to a second hard point, you're going to have to see that change up for PNW. If they want to take a hard point away from the Falcons, yes, it was neck and neck for a time, but you could definitely see that BGSU, they were one step ahead for most of it.
Yeah, it really kind of felt like after the first set of rotations, when we saw 6 or 7 lead changes, that's when BGSU really took that lead and never really fully looked back. It felt like PNW up to that point, they were able to get the breaks, they were able to go toe-to-toe with BGSU, but that second set of rotations, it was just 1 or 2 hills really kind of just went more into their favor, where they were able to get that longer hold that you just never saw come through for PNW, where there were multiple times where they pushed across the hill. They got that full setup that they were looking for. They got the setup that they wanted, and they were just not able to find the kills that they needed in a lot of those setups to hold on to the hills. Even in that, in the second set of rotations, when they went back towards train yard, they had that perfect break where they had 2 players hit from the front, 2 players hit from warehouse. It was so perfect. They get the 4-man break, and what did it allude to? Like 10 seconds of time because they were broken right away back from BGSU. It can't happen like that. You need to have a little bit better breaks if you want to be able to compete inside a hard point, and ultimately that ends up being the difference maker towards the end of that game. They just could not hold on to a money hill at the very end there. And now going into Berlin Search and Destroy, same map, different mode, and I mean, it is not going to be an easy time because this PNW roster, Search and Destroy has been their big struggle mode on the season for themselves. Here is by far their worst mode in terms of overall statistics. I mean, coming into this one, now we had in our keys to victory that they need to win a Search and Destroy. Well, now even more so because you lose that first hard point.
Well, Jesse, you talked about, when we were originally looking at these maps, map 5, Desert Siege, definitely a place where you can see snipers come out. But, I mean, Berlin, if you get a sniper on board for one of these teams, you sit back even on the attacking side, maybe catch a pick through the middle of the map, maybe even over towards the riverside. A sniper can definitely be wealthy on a map like Berlin Search and Destroy. One thing we did see, oftentimes were those snipers, playing early into the Search and Destroys and then getting put away later, because you saw a lot of teams with the new change to Berlin start adapting more towards going for A hits. But, I'm expecting, you talk about a sniper over on Desert Siege, it can definitely come out here on Berlin too.
Yeah, there's a few spots you can see teams working with a sniper, right? Generally on offense, you might see a player hop up on top of warehouse, watch the middle cut to see players crossing over the middle. Sometimes you don't even find a lot of value in terms of shooting the sniper in that spot, but you can at least get value out of finding information. And usually on the offensive side, you'll see them watching down the long B straight down towards the docks, just trying to see if they can either catch players out of there or going up top third and being able to get players as they cross going over into the B side. So there's definitely a chance for snipers. I'm not sure how much we'll see it here inside of this series because we obviously don't have a ton of information here on BGSU and PNW in terms of going back and VOD. I think this is only the second time we've seen BGSU on stream this season. I could be wrong on that. At least on Alpha, this is the second time that we've seen BGSU, from what I can tell. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see when we go back and we look over everything, if they can find a few ways to use the sniper on this map. But I think the one thing that I really want to focus on from that map one was just how well Solar was playing. I mean, I know we touched on it slightly, but going in towards the back half of the series, I mean, if he keeps up playing at that level of play, it's going to be very tough for PNW to be able to come back to that, because it felt like every time he was in the kill feed, it wasn't just one, it was usually two. And he only had 30 seconds of hill time, so he was just roaming the map that entire time, just trying to find as much slays as he can. And if he keeps that up going in towards this Berlin, where he's not really playing the objective, but playing around it and trying to find as many kills as possible, PNW needs to find an answer for that, and they need to find an answer for it very quickly in this series.
And with Solar being so hot, I mean, even on Berlin Search and Destroy, you have to watch out for those first bloods. I mean, both of these teams, they're going to be looking for a way to open up the map, and if Solar is having as much free reign as he did inside that hard point in Search and Destroy, I mean, I feel like Falcons could be in a position where they just dominate map control.
Yeah, it's very possible, right? They really could just come out and get middle of the map and just not allow Purdue Northwest to get anything going good for them here inside of this. So Purdue, like I said, they need to find an answer for that very quickly here inside of this Berlin. It's just loading up now, so we should be getting in to the game quite shortly here. I'm so excited to just get to cast some. God, I think this is the first time I'm casting Berlin as well, Colin, since the update has come
very
through.
long time
With the B bomb site being changed, where you can't just drop a glide bomb on the top of it and kill everybody inside and around the site. So we'll have to see what can happen. And unfortunately, it looks like we may have just dropped our lobby.
It happens. It happens. But no, you're right. It's been a while since I've casted Berlin Search and Destroy. And, you know, I was kind of hinting to it, Jesse, that, you know, in the major, when we were looking at it, with that change to Berlin, we saw a lot more teams adapting to taking over control of the A site first. So, you know, I'm curious to see if we're going to be seeing that in the CCL now. You see how teams adapt to the change inside the map. Are we going to see more hits to the offices? How's it going to look? Maybe it's going to definitely deny more chances for those sniper rifles to come out. But I'm definitely excited to see what we do get out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think it's still very much so a two bomb site map, where you can still hit A and you can still hit B, and it's still very much so mind games on what you want to hit. And that's why I love Berlin so much, because both bomb sites are still very much so open. Even if you have that sniper sitting top third watching over the docks for the defensive side of the map, you can still find a way into that B site, find a way to get that bomb down. You just got to make sure you check your corners, because usually there's a player hiding in and around that B site now, because they can't get grenaded out of it just as easily as they were able to before. But yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I think that we could see more A hits for sure, but I still think that B is very much so a bomb site that you can hit. And I think it's a more positive bomb site still, because you can still get a better post plant setup at the B site as well.
Oh, for sure. I mean, how many clutches did we see towards the A site, though, this week with those ARs? You know, as soon as you get that bomb down, you know, I was seeing clutches from over towards Burning, you know, from the train station. There's just so many eyes where you could get on both sides, and it was really eye-opening to me, everything that you get on Berlin for both sites, Jesse. But that B site, you know, oftentimes you'd look at it and you'd see maybe 30 seconds left in the round, one player goes down on the retaking team, and you just realize, like, wow, this round is over.
We're done. Yeah, we're done.
We're done.
Like, it's very, very tough to retake that B bomb site. And you know what? I'm right there with you. I think the A site is also very tough to be able to retake if you set up the right way. You need to know how to do that setup then. Like, you need to have that bomb planted in the perfect spot so you're not getting shot from Burning. And then also have that bomb planted in the right spot so you can watch it from the backside of the train yards or of the train building, so you can kind of watch from inside train station. It's difficult, though, to be able to get that setup and everything done correctly, to have the perfect setup, to have all that right information going to your team. We'll see if either one of these two teams can do it. And look at this. I think you may have just called it, Seymour. It's going to be a push over towards the A side. You can see player number 4 actually on the map as well, taking some early shots. So there's going to be a lot of information given to these 3 players on PNW that there are a lot of players here in and around this site for BGSU.
Apollo and Hayes, they have a crossfire inside. It's a 3v2 in favor of Pride. Do look to break. Stun, definitely going to give this one away. Echo gets spotted through the wall, not going to go down. You see a pinch forming in. Here comes the Pride for the break. Finally finding the kill. Takes a long time, but Oldme's going to get it. Not going to be ready for Apollo, though, who snaps over to a second. And you saw Solar popped up with that boomstick to take down Hayes, or to take down Echo. That's a big 3 down. Falcons, they really kind of weather the storm over towards A, and they're going to be in a solid position to take round 1.
Yeah, and I thought that PNW was going to pinch on that a little bit quicker knowing that they had the 3v2 advantage in that spot. Because player number 4, Whitman, he was the player watching the cross. He knew that 2 players crossed in that spot. They would 100% have seen it. You saw the shots coming down right off the start of the round. Does not end up finding any of those kills, and now unfortunately left here in a 1 versus 3, just trying to find any information because he has nothing at the moment. You have absolutely no information in this spot. You need to try to find as little bit as you can, and yeah, unfortunately, just going to get shot in the back there. That's just I think just too slowly played off the start of that round there for PNW to be able to find success, and BGSU just had a great retake of the bomb site to the point, and honestly a great hold inside with the way that Apollo was able to pop too.
No, and as soon as Echo saw the player through the window, took a little bit of heat, that flank needed to come immediately. You're right. It was very slow to the draw, and it's what I was talking about. I mean, you need to be quick on your feet if you're going to take that A site, because before you know it, that player inside at Burning, he's going to rotate, and you're going to have one extra eye to worry about on it. So you can see Falcons this time around, they don't want to go to A. They're looking to go to B for their offensive round. H2O will be the only player here to get some information to feed to the team, but a relatively easy bomb plant.
Vade, he doesn't trust like that right now, though. But Apollo will be able to get that bomb down. Doors will get broken, and it's going to be a Vade that plays the close corner inside of this site. Window shots going to be coming through. Actually, Old Meme able to find that kill as well. So now these 2 players, they're kind of just trapped inside of here.
Ryder picking them apart. Vade, last one standing in a 1v4. Made it a 1v3, but, I mean, it's too little too late. Everybody around you dies, and you have no life preserver. You have no way to stay afloat in the sinking ship that was that attack. And, I mean, PNW, they did such a good job at making sure that they were decisive on that retake.
Yeah, and really what that was BGSU to get that bomb down. It's great and all that you get the bomb down, but you're already at a man disadvantage. And now, note, you can hold that setup with a man disadvantage, but they just had no positioning to hold that setup. There was nobody back warehouse set up properly. You already had players on the flank from PNW. You lose 2 gunfights in the front of the hill where you just now got 2 players sitting in and around the hill and just trying to hold themselves as long as they can inside of the B side. It was just a tough spot to be in there for BGSU, and that's PNW, like you said, coming away with the round victory. Now heading over towards the B site. Didn't work out at A in the first round, so they want to change it up a little bit here, but there is a player in player 7 in Evade just sitting, waiting and hoping that one of these players gets a little too zealous on pushing into the B zone.
Oh, Evade, 1v2, finds one, sliding around. He's got his dancing shoes on, and H2O, he just cannot go toe-to-toe. Evade, he's absolutely backed up. PNW found a kill, and there's a little bit more looking to tango. Echo's going to come in. He drops Evade, keeping it strong for the Falcons into the B side. Finds H2O as well. That's 3 down from the hands of Evade, leaving Whitman last alive again for this PNW offense. And it looks like the way the arrows are facing, they know exactly where this lonesome AR is going to be standing. I mean, the cleanup crew, they are on their way.
2 offenses, 2 1v3s here for Whitman, and it's the exact same outcome. Getting shot in the side in a 1v3 situation as BGSU takes another defensive round win here inside of this game. And yeah, it's just another good hold there. And again, Colin, it's another individual play. The first round, it was Apollo inside the A site, held it down, was able to get a 2-piece. This time in the B site, Solar by themselves, or sorry, Evade by themselves, able to find 1, find a second, and then not just 2, finds the 3rd as well. On to H2O, who was the player who was actually backing up the initial fight going inside of the B zone. So you need to stay alive in that situation as Evade hopefully find 1, finds all 3. It's a great spot for them to be in. And BGSU, they look like they want to change up the draw as well from that first round. It didn't work out going over towards A, so they're going to go
already there.
And Evade makes a beautiful play through the backside where he's able to find 1 and
oh
find
my!
a second. And this should be an easy bomb plant at this point.
He's got 5 in a row. That's going to be a streak in hands as well. Strafing run, not the glide bomb, but Evade is doing everything, Jesse. I mean, he just walked right through the middle of the map. He just ran it down mid, and nobody even knew.
Yeah, and that's why you need to send a player watching mid. And the player that was top burning, unfortunately, just was not watching that spot. They were still making their climb up. You could see it on the X-ray as Evade ran through middle of the map, and this is really big. He's on 6 in a row now. Even though you can't drop that glide bomb into the B site the way that you were able to before, you can still find a ton of value out of it. You can still definitely find kills on this map with it, but even more so importantly than kills is you can get so much information with that glide bomb. So Evade, he's going to be the first player moving up over towards the B site once again here for BGSU on the defense.
Oh, he saw him.
Yeah, and he sees 1, and he just needs to get out of dodge and try to stay alive as long as possible. But actually,
he's
just going to take the challenge.
He wants
very
to go
confident
in
right now.
He thrives here, Jesse. I think it's PNW that have to be worried. He's going to take his routes around the outside. Glide bomb has been acquired. Information on Old Meme as well, but it's going to be Solar to double down with him. Slides on out for the ego challenge. H2O will finally drop him. That's going to be a bomb down, but number advantage to BGSU.
Yeah, and Apollo, he was the player on the opposite side now, making a big pinch onto this. And yeah, it's just Old Meme left alive now inside the B site. And he needs to put on his best evade impression right now to stay alive here.
He's already found one, but 6 HP. What more can you do? Hayes isn't going to let him heal up. It's going to be a quick defuse coming out from Apollo. 4 rounds on the board for the BGSU Falcons, Jesse. And evade now with that glide bomb. I guess one thing you can definitely look at is that with the changes of Berlin, I mean, at least that glide bomb doesn't guarantee you a kill at the B site.
Well, I mean, it still could very well find you a kill, though, right? That's what I was kind of alluding to last round. Like, it's not a guarantee that you can just drop it on the top of the bomb site now and kill somebody inside of the bomb site, because that made absolutely no sense before. But now you have to kind of maneuver it your way and bend it like Beckham, if you will. Shouts to Brody. But, I mean, we'll see if they can find a way to find a kill with it. But they might not even need it here. They've already found, 3 rounds in a row now where they're just using gun skill and gun skill alone inside of this game to find a lot of these rounds. They're looking very, very good through a lot of this game at the moment. And there is only one player on PNW staying alive. And I believe I just heard that glide bomb get called in.
H2O, you gotta be careful right now. It's the glide bomb. Get called in, didn't find anything at all. H2O is still alive. Toss it an 8. Is he going to get anything from it? Still alive here, just dipping and dodging. He's using the 5 Ds of dodgeball just to stay alive, and he's going to find Apollo as well. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but Evade's going to split the odds, giving the numbers to the Falcons with this post-plant position. You have to set up from the Falcons, but you got to be quick here from PNW. Maybe slip the line. They know where Evade is, but are you going to guess where the other 2 are? Hayes going to slide out, finds Echo, leaving 1 player alive. Going to be Whitman here for the 1v2, and with 17 seconds left, Jesse, I mean, what can you do with this setup? You got both ARs set up on either side of the map, and Whitman hasn't even gotten into the site.
Yeah, absolutely nothing. You could do literally nothing in this situation. You can go for the kills all you want. It's still not going to win you the round here. And I feel kind of bad for Whitman right now. Man has been left alone in 1v3 after 1v3 after 1v3. Even in that last round, he found the first there. So it would have been a technical 1v3 if they were able to win that round out. But it's going to be a 5-1 lead to BGSU. And I think with Whitman, he's playing that off role right now where you're kind of that island player. You're playing alone. And that's great and all. But it's clearly not working on this map right now. I feel like he might just need to kind of group up with the team, play a little bit more together here in a lot of these rounds. Just say screw it to the information and just make sure you have enough players around to get those trades. He will be watching top mid again. You see the 2 players cross, so he gives that information again. And this is looking like a pitcher-and-pitcher round to what we saw in round number 1 from this offense.
Big opening. Echo's going to double down. That clears out the A site. I mean, this is the best chance for a plant we've seen from PNW. I mean, this has to be converted into the round, but I mean, I say that, but Evade's already on the hunt. He's found Whitman. He's got an in and out. He's going to even us up 2v2. You can see the post plant going to be here. Echo round the outsides of the staircase for Alley. And on the inside is going to be Old Meme as well. So they have things unlocked for now. Here come the Falcons to look to pick this one apart. Echo's going to go down, leaving Old Meme last alive with an MP40 on the inside. Tagged up, finished with the sidearm. And Falcons, they bowl their way in. They bully for the round. And they take the search and destroy 6-1.
And inside of that last round there, you could see at the very end, I mean, PNW was exactly the same as their first round on offense. They did exactly the same thing. You had one player watch the middle. That was Whitman, and then everybody else just makes their push over towards this site. They push in. This time, though, it was a lot quicker, and I'll give them credit to that. It was a much quicker push into the site once you realized you had the numbers. They found the kills. Everything works out perfectly in terms of that. But what they don't account for is Solar pushing through on the flank. Solar comes up behind them, takes one of their players out, instantly puts them in a 2 versus 2, and both the PNW players, the way that they played that, were just pinched in the back. In that situation, you need to choose a side and push out a side. That way you're not getting pinched on both sides of the map. And unfortunately, you were just in a rough spot there towards the end, and BGSU was able to pick you apart and therefore go up 2-0. But honestly, I would be surprised I'd be lying if I told you that I wasn't expecting PNW to come out and not take that search and destroy with the way that their S&D has looked through a lot of this season. BGSU are really in the driver's seat in this series right now.
You said it yourself on the top of the show, Jesse. I mean, they were distinct differences in the records for search and destroy in favor of BGSU, and they just flexed why in the series. I mean, both these teams coming in with an even map count or an even series count, what it looked like, but I mean, only one team's going to walk away on top, and the Falcons being up 2-0. I mean, they look like they're the team that is definitely in the driver's seat to walk away with this one, especially when Evade is putting up numbers like he did in that search and destroy, 12 and 3 throughout the whole map.
Crazy.
I mean, he was getting some freebies.
I mean, look at his KD per round, 1.71 kills per round. I mean, that's ridiculous. You're at least looking at 2 kills a round for Evade. And I mean, he was the guardian of the B site, Colin, in a lot of that game.
Really
as well.
was.
He has more damage than 2 of his teammates combined. Combine any 2 of his teammates, he's going to have more damage. Maybe outside of Hayes and Apollo. But you know what? I'm not here to do math. I'm here to cast some Call of Duty. And yeah, I mean, a great game from him. It was exactly the bounce back that you were looking for as well, because he didn't have the greatest map 1 for BGSU, and he's been their top player, their standout player for a lot of this season. So it's nice to see him take that step up inside of Search and Destroy, get up to that same level. I mean, you didn't have that same pop-up performance that you had from Solar in map number 1, but you didn't even need it because Evade just stepped up to the plate and hit it out of the park. And that's going to leave us in a 2-0 series lead here for BGSU. And we go to Control next. And it's a Gavutu Control. Both teams have even records on that map mode combo, but right now you can't lie and say that momentum is not in BGSU's favor.
Momentum is everything when we're looking at Call of Duty. People say it all the time. Now we're done with the Berlins. After this break, we got Gavutu. We'll see you on the flip side, everyone.
Play status for this S&D.
Welcome back to the Alpha stream, everyone. We just got a little bit of a glimpse to the Bravo stream. We saw Trine versus Louisville Esports. That's a big thing because, I mean, you look at these two teams above us. This is the same division on both streams. So on the B stream, we're looking at a fight for 4th place, and right now we're looking at a fight for 2nd and 3rd between PNW and BGSU. Oh, this is exciting stuff that we got parallels between the Alpha and Bravo stream, Jesse.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great looking, right? You can see exactly what Trine is fighting for, trying to hold on to that 4th spot. And then, like you said right here, BGSU, they're trying to kind of solidify themselves as that sole holder of 2nd place right now inside of the Tier 2 division in the Midwest division. So, I mean, they're right there, and it's all to play for still here tonight.
Let's talk about the series that we have on screen, because it has been swift and it has been one-sided so far. BGSU Falcons coming out in the hard point, 250 to 195, then smoking the Pride on Search and Destroy 6 to 1. We're going into Gavutu Control up next, Jesse, and from what I've seen so far, BGSU, they have been on top from the start.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's not get it twisted. That first map was close. It was definitely an opportunity for PNW. They just could not hold on to hills towards the end of that game. Specifically, you look back at P4, 2nd set of rotations, they could not hold on to it. And P1 of the 3rd set of rotations, they were set up for both those hills, and they had good breaks. They were looking solid, but Falcons were just able to break back in so easily to get those maps back into their favor. And it was really just Solar, especially inside of that map 1, that really went off. And then in the second map, it was Evade that took off. 2 very good individual performances, now leaving them down in a 2-0 deficit here for PNW. But luckily, though, you know, it was probably the perfect time for us to go to a break, right? Because now you can come back into this one. You can reset here if you're PNW to try to come back into this. And you know what? You're never out of a series. We've seen it multiple times throughout this, even this past weekend. So many reverse sweeps. And you know what? This is probably the best chance for you to start a reverse sweep, is going to a mode that you're exactly even with Bowling Green.
You know, I want to see a record across, you know, different titles of Call of Duty and how often you get reverse sweeps. I feel like I've seen more reverse sweeps in Vanguard than any other title of Call of Duty across, you know, for a very long time, because I see it all the time in Vanguard, but I have not seen it in past titles. So, I mean, definitely it is something that you need to look at, and it's something that's possible for PNW.
I mean, most certainly this last weekend at that major, I think it very well could have been the most Game 5s that we've ever seen at like a CDL major. That's definitely very possible. But you know what? We got to get back into the CCL. Off to already a very quick start here for BGSU. They're trying to put their full focus over towards B, and this is a hit that you're seeing more and more often now inside of Vanguard, where teams are trying to hit B right off the start of these rounds.
See how many resources you can burn before heading over to the A site. And 1 tick already secured here from Hayes. Finally going to be dethroned from Echo and H2O on the siege over to the B zone. You look at what it costed, even in lives, a tick towards B. 1 minute left, Jesse. Let's head over to A. What? No, in fact, no, BGSU, they want to just go off the respawn. They want to go to B again.
Yeah, and this is where things can kind of get a little bit shaky, right? They want to make sure they get as many ticks as they can over at B, but you're spawning up so close for PNW. I don't hate this overextension from BGSU, because you do need to find some openings over towards A because you still have those players in your spawn. But I mean, this is getting to that point of the game where if you all end up dying in that spot, it could have gotten really, really scary. But you can see now that they've found a few kills through the middle of the map, they cleared their spawn. Now they're going to look to head over towards A.
Well, Vade doesn't collect the second ticket progression, so that's a big win from Echo towards B. Over at A, you can already see the respawns from the Falcons soaking up progress inside of the boat. You have the setup as well here. There's going to be a tough one to break if you're the Pride, and they are going to be breaking from two separate fronts, so hopefully getting this pinch underway. You can see 2 kills go their way. Sliding on in is going to be Whitman. Evade does find the trade, but is forcing him out of the hill, and look at that. PNW, they get the break.
And again, it stops them before being able to get a second tick of progression onto a zone. So A zone still not 2 ticks completed here. Funnily enough, though, nobody on PNW really want to give a positioning right now, though. So that second tick of progress is very, very close to being able to be completed here still. And BGSU, though, they are having a tough time of just getting out of their spawn at the moment.
15 seconds left. 4 lives in favor of the Pride. You see Solar making one last ditch effort to overextend, see if you can find an opening for your respawning teammates. And look at that, he found a second. The break on in is going to be there. Stop the clock at 5.4 seconds. Working on the second ticket progression. The kills coming through. Evade Hayes actually finding a good amount of kills. 3 go down. Let's slap another minute onto the clock.
Oh, and they 3-man stack A. All players able to get onto the zone. All players able to get that tick of progression that they need, and now they've actually got a 2-life lead as well. They're trying to make the overextension through the green side of the map, trying to get into jungle, trying to be just a nuisance to these PNW players. And speaking of sneaking through, look at Apollo in the back line. Can make a big play here for BGSU.
It's going to be a big one, or it has to be a big one. If you're Falcons, here he comes. He's got the Vulcan hand. He finds one into Echo. It doesn't look like Whitman has an idea. He's back here. Players dropping for PNW. It's going to allow the Falcons to step into the B zone, start working on the second ticket progression. It's Hayes on the inside, but look how far your team is. PNW, they still are going to have the numbers to break back into the zone immediately. H2O hops in for the contention. Wasn't able to find that player, Hayes. It's going to be Whitman to take him down, so not yet. The third ticket progression has been collected, but I mean, the Falcons with numbers of 4 versus 1. H2O, the last one alive with 25 seconds. You can see that the Falcons are surging on in to take care of this one last player. H2O, he's stuck on the post. He's got nowhere to go, and the Falcons find round 1.
That's really big, though, because that ends up coming down to just kills. That's not coming down to the ticks of progression. I believe that BGSU finished with 5 ticks there, but they end up winning out on kills. So that's actually really big towards going towards our final offense there, towards our final defense, because they only end up finding 5. So I mean, if PNW comes out and gets a full 6 and they get the offensive win here, it still gives them that advantage in that last round.
Heading to switch sides here, Jesse. I mean, we saw early B hits from the Falcons. Pride looking to mimic that. See if they can find success. Old Mean spearheading this one. Echo to double down. It's 2 for 1 in favor of Pride. Make it 3 go down. This is a chance now for the Pride to start collecting zone time here at B.
Oh, but a great nade from Solar over the top will at least take 1 off. So that takes away the 2 ticks of progression, the 2-player stack. But it does not matter. Apparently, H2O is going to find 2 for themselves as well. But as that's happening, the other side of the map, everybody else kind of just getting pinned off spawn right now from Apollo on a 4 spree. So still just no ticks of progression here for PNW. And I mean, it was looking like a decent break right off the rip, but it has very much so slowed down now, and they need to put their full focus over towards A.
The Falcons bunkered down. They weather the storm to B, but it's looking like troubling waters over towards A. As you can see, H2O on the inside soaking up progress. Has a stack as well with the teammates. So this is going fast. And look at that kill feed. It's all white for PNW. They got 3 players on the zone. It's going fast.
That is probably the quickest I've ever seen a zone go up. I believe they had all 3 players on it again there, maybe even 4 for a small bit of time. And yeah, that's going to be the zone completed for them and a 4-life lead as they look to wrap over towards the B zone. But luckily for BGSU, they've got green control right now, so that they can pretty much watch the cross, make sure nobody really sneaks through at the moment. It's exactly what Apollo is doing. And right now, you're just keeping PNW pinned to the back, and you need to do this for a couple more waves just so you can even these numbers out for now.
It is going to be a tough one to pull yourself back, especially when BGSU have the life disadvantage. But I mean, the good news is that it's Gavatil, and you have your ARs set up already in these power positions. You got a minute on this time clock. You still have no ticks collected towards B, so, I mean, this is going to be a good old backyard brawl on the beaches.
You can see they're trying. They are trying to break through from the front, and it is just not easy to do. Life lead still, though, in the PNW favor by 4.
Oh, here comes the flank. Solar, he takes down Echo. He's inside the ring. Now it's time to tango with Solar. Your main AR from Berlin who turned up. He does it again. He withers the storm for PNW, and 41 seconds now on the clock.
And this is so much map control now to BGSU. They can push these spawns if they can get into the faces of the PNW players. And PNW, you need to check all your corners. And you are pretty much in a spawn trap now. This is a perfect turnaround of the round here for BGSU. Only 30 seconds left, and you need to get onto the B site. And look at this, PNW, they realize that they cannot go through the center of the map. They need to make this hit in towards green, and this is exactly where they're going.
I mean, it's only so many times you can run straight into a brick wall, Jesse, before you need to change it up. Here comes Whitman, opens it up. Around the back, you only have 10 seconds. You need to get on the site. Whitman's going big. He's completely opened this up for PNW to have a chance. 3 go down for the Falcons, but they completely flip things up. Apollo's going to be on one side. You have a pinch here for the Falcons to hold this one in their favor, but they're just not finding the kills when it happens. Whitman's finds one. H2O second, still soaking up this progress on the inside. If he can find a second tick, that's going to even us up, but Evade comes through, stops old Meme from getting that second ticket progression, and the Falcons go up 2-0.
Well, I cannot believe BGSU was just able to come through and take that the way that they did at the end of that round there. I mean, it was looking a little bit bleak. I thought there were multiple opportunities there where PNW would have been able to get in and get onto the zone. But BGSU, they just make a great play. And it was that flank that you so kindly pointed out in the middle of that of ring that the BGSU players were able to get in behind, shoot all the PNW players in the back. Once they got ring control, PNW just could not turn back throughout the rest of that round. You could not go back up to ring because every time you attempted to, you were just getting dropped by the BGSU players, and it completely turned that round on its head for PNW.
No B site this time. We want to go to the A zone for the first set, says Falcons. They already find a kill into Whitman. He's going to open up an opportunity. I mean, old me, he hops up the ladder. He takes some shots from Solar. He's like, nope, this is not where I want to be. So I'm going to hop on down, take a different avenue, see if I can open this up. And he does. Finding the kill onto Solar will definitely hold off the Falcons for now. But they have to be careful because they're taking a big hit, Jesse.
The Falcons are making a weird hit here, though, too, because, I mean, it worked out very well in the first round to just go over towards B and grab a couple ticks of progression and then hit towards A. I mean, it worked out fine for them, but changing up the strategy here in this round, wanting to go towards A right off the rip. And you know what? You get a 4 down in the middle of the map from Solar, so you cannot complain. Now everybody hops onto the zone. Solar tries to make the wrap back over towards B, but this is going to be the A zone going up very, very quickly in terms of ticks of progression.
And Solar is just that guy right now. 22 and 17, really holding the numbers in favor of BGSU. We'll see a break back into this A zone from PNW, so still 50 seconds on this clock that you can hold off for the Pride. And now they're looking to pin BGSU in the back. H2 on one side. You got Whitman on the other. Spawn trapping Falcons in their own side of the map. And this is where you're really going to be testing the waters of a BGSU squad that's in the lead.
Oh, absolutely. This could be really big for PNW, too, because if you can find a few more kills in the back here, win this round out, and then go back into your offense with only needing to get a couple ticks of progression, and if you win that round, be able to get that final defense, this could be really big, but you will get the breakout from BGSU. They get out of that little spawn trap they were in, and now right back onto A as they try to get that third tick of progression.
The ticks right now are 7-4, but to be 8-4 in favor of BGSU, Jesse, so I mean, this is going to be a big one for sure if PNW can stop this before it really gets a little bit bad. But 3 go down again. 3 life lead for BGSU. Looking to stay alive as Evade as he is going to disengage from this fight. Look to his teammates to open it up. You got a minute 5, 3 lives lead. This is definitely looking like a troublesome one.
I mean, even if BGSU doesn't close this round out, like you were calling out with that ticks there, with that 4-tick advantage now for BGSU, all they need is 2 ticks of progression onto this B zone, and they should pretty much guarantee themselves that final defense.
44 seconds. PNW haven't had a chance to really set up. This is going to get scrappy when the fight does happen, but Falcons have slowed this down. There has been time for the Pride to set up. 7 lives left. 30 seconds. You know this is about to be electric as soon as the Falcons want to barrel on through, and you can see flooding on out. 2 go down. PNW really putting them to the test right now. As the time is dwindling, this is going to be hard. You have to step onto this point. At some point, you're going to have to draw on this game a little bit longer, but old Mimi doesn't want to let this happen. He's going to find two, leaving Hayes all alone in the site. You see, look at clean up this last lonesome player, not expecting Hayes to be laying prone, so still alive on the inside are going to be the Falcons. 6 lives to 3. It's doable, but the time is low.
You need to get on right now if you're BGSU. You do not have time to dilly-dally around this hill. You need to hop on. Solar will get the contest, but loses the gunfight, so I don't think there's going to be anybody close enough. And PNW, they clutch up the round, Colin.
Ooh. I don't know if they gave up a tick, Jesse, but that was clean at B. Yeah, it got a little bit shaky at the end, but, I mean, you talk about Solar making that flank back in round 2. H2O did the exact same thing at the end there.
Yeah, gets in behind the players from the top and just able to drop them down. That's a very, very good round out of PNW to be able to clutch up. But now comes the hard part. You need to win an offense. And if you win this offense, you might just be able to get that final defense as well because of BGSU winning that first round due to kills and not due to ticks.
Looks like Pride wants to go to A first. Solar on the flank. 2 players on the Falcons on the flank, and that's going to amount to a quick 3 down, stomping out PNW from this A zone. Looking to clean up this last one. Whitman. Solar will find him with the MP40. And now sights on the spawn trap. Apollo's already there.
Oh no, BGSU, they don't even want to go to round 5 here. They want to get this done here in round number 4. Apollo's getting so much information that he is just feeding to Evade, and Evade can just drop these players on the top of ring. It's exactly what is going on right now. They are keeping this spawn trap in full effect. One player has snuck through in player number 7, so this should at least turn a few arrows around on the BGSU side. But besides that, I mean, you are doing a great job of just pinning these players in the back of their spawn for the time being.
They have had a way out, Jesse, so they will be looking to gain maybe a tick of progression over to B. Won't come through.
It's so close.
It's actually a clutch. Look how close it is. I mean, it looks like it's captured, but it's not captured, and that is heartbreaker for PNW, who are still trapped back here. They have not found an answer to Solar. He's on 5 in a row now, looking for streaks. Won't amount to that glide bomb, but, I mean, look at the life difference that you got just after that opening.
I was going to say, at the very least, you've cleared out your base, but yeah, you called it out perfectly. Look at that life difference. 7 life lead to the likes of BGSU, and they're just continuing to rack up the kills right now. You can be on this hill and on this zone all you want, but plain and simple, you're either going to run out of time or you're going to run out of lives at this point of time here if you're PNW, because, I mean, BGSU just have your numbers in terms of kills at the moment.
And you can look at this, just stuck inside this boat. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. You only have 10 lives left, 13 seconds to make a miracle happen. As BGSU Falcons are looking for this 3-0 sweep. They have it in the bag. It's just a few more kills, a few more seconds to burn off this clock. And you can already see the players are here to trap them on in. Evade's going to find one. Apollo comes swinging from the outside. Whitman's the last one standing. And as he falls, that's going to be BGSU Falcons 3-0 sweeping the return of CCL to open up the stream.
Yeah, and I mean, we thought this could be a very close series, but BGSU, they wanted to get in. They wanted to get out as quickly as possible. I believe they're actually playing our second match on Bravo as well tonight. So I think they knew they had a date down on Bravo. So they just wanted to get this one done as quickly as possible. And the hot 3-0 completely comes in. And yeah, BGSU looked fantastic. And once again, Solar inside of a respawn, 40 and 23, Colin. He was just ripping them in their spawns at the end of that game.
We're going to have to take a look at those numbers when we do pull up that scoreboard again, but dangerous indeed are the ARs on BGSU Falcons, Jesse. I mean, we talked about it when we were really looking at the maps of the series, you know, aiming at the ARs to really have a heavy influence throughout this. And what was it? It was Solar in map 1 and 3, and it was Evade in map number 2. The submachine gun does slip in there, but that's what you expect from a submachine gun on a Berlin looking to hold down the B site. Yeah. I mean, there were big things from a lot of individuals on BGSU today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's going to be the big thing to talk about and take away from this series is you really didn't have like that big overall team effort from BGSU. It was just individuals popping off. Like you said, it was Solar in map 1, dropped what, 30, I believe it was 31 in map 1 with like 20 deaths, which was a very good performance on a Berlin hardpoint. Went into that map 2, like you said, where Evade just popped off, found
12 and 3.
He finished 12 and 3 or 12 and 4. And then in that final map there, again, it's Solar. We can see it again right here. Popped off 40 and 23. That is ridiculous numbers inside of only 4 rounds played to controlled. So he's averaging 10 kills a round. I don't know why it says 8 over on the side. That's easy math there. Come on.
And you pointed out Hayes at the start of the series, a player who hasn't really been stepping up, to the potential of his teammates throughout the series. We didn't get to see that either, him hit that level that his teammates were. But you can see that the support around him, you definitely have the building blocks to really build up Hayes. And if they can get him firing on the same amount of gas that the rest of this team is playing on, I mean, this could be a dangerous Falcons squad.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the big thing for them, right? In the back half of this season, in the rest of stage 2. I mean, at this point, with the record that they have, they should be pretty good for a top seed going in towards those conference play-ins and towards the last chance qualifiers, right? But it is not going to be an easy job. You definitely, against other top teams, are going to need Hayes to step up. And I mean, like, he didn't have the worst series today. He played just good enough for them to be able to get the wins. But like I said, against other top competition, Colin, he is going to need to be at another level with the rest of his team if they want to be able to do. You can't just rely on individual performances from Evade and from Solar to be able to take this team to the next level.
Oh, you cannot. A 2-week break from the CCL, and BGSU Falcons look rejuvenated. A 3-0 sweep to open up the CCL stream on Alpha, closing out 3-1 or 3-0 inside that control as well. Gavitu was looking crazy for a lot of it. Jesse, I think it was a 3-1. I got that a little bit wrong right there, but I mean, that big things coming from the Falcons for this one. We got Akron versus Redbird on stream coming up next. I'm excited to see this one as well, Jesse, because now we're looking at top teams.
Yeah, you're looking at a tier 1 right after this game. It should be a really good one, too. I believe this is going to be a big test for Akron, right? Going up against the Redbirds. I mean, we've seen Illinois State University a few times on stream. And, I mean, Akron, they would like to show that they are very much so solidified inside of that top 25. So I think that it'll be really, really good matchup between those two teams in our second match of the day.
You're going to keep your eyes out for that one. It's going to be I Hold Shift and Proper taking over for the rest of the broadcast here on Alpha. That's going to be it for myself, Seymour, and Cruisin'. We hope to see you all tomorrow as we're going to be opening it again on Tuesday. But for that, I'm going to toss it over to Shift and Proper for the rest of the night. Can't wait to see you guys all tomorrow.